Alrighty, everybody, we're reading the Federalist Papers. We are in Alexander Hamilton's essay, and it's number 13, and it's titled Advantage of the Union in Respect to Economy in Government. Such a title, right? As connected with the subject of revenue, we may with propriety consider that of economy. The money saved from one object may be usefully applied to another. So the money saved from one object, the capital maybe, and there will be so much less to be drawn from the pockets of the people. If the states are united under one government, there will be but one national civil list to support. If they are divided into several confederacies, there will be as many different national civil lists to be provided for, and each of them, as to the principal departments, coextensive with that which would be necessary for a government of the whole. Okay, coextensive. Principal departments. The entire separation of the states into 13 unconnected sovereignties is a project too extravagant and too replete with danger to have many advocates. So look at that. He's contending that to separate up into like these city-states in sort of a Greek way, it just wouldn't work. You need to be united in the union and act as one federal force. The ideas of men who speculate upon the dismemberment of the empire seem generally turned towards 3 confederacies, one consisting of the 4 northern, another of the 4 middle, and a third of the 5 southern states. Okay, so we have northern, middle, and southern states. There is little probability that there would be a greater number. According to this distribution, each confederacy would comprise an extent of territory larger than of the kingdom of Great Britain. Oh, wow, yes, that's true. Sorry, you're very small. You're very small, Britain. No well-informed man will suppose that the affairs of such a confederacy can be properly regulated by a government less comprehensive in its origins or institutions than that which has been proposed by the convention. Well, he's really laying it down, isn't he? It's kind of funny how it's a little jab at Britain there. When the dimensions of a state attain to a certain magnitude, it requires the same energy of government and the same forms of administration which are requisite in one of much greater extent. Okay, so when it gets to a certain size, right, you need to have the energy and the means to keep that going. Yes, of course. This idea admits not one of precise demonstration, because there is no rule by which we can measure the momentum of civil power. Okay, so there's no rule, he's saying, that you can measure the momentum of civil power. Wow. I mean, you could, I don't know, but he's talking about the economy, and isn't the GDP like the power of your nation? Necessary to the government of any given number of individuals. But when we consider that the island of Britain, nearly commensurate with each of the supposed confederacies, contains about 8 million of people, and when we reflect upon the degree of authority required to direct the passions of so large a society to public good. So notice this: the authority required, the degree, to direct the passions of your society towards the good of the whole. We shall see no reason to doubt that the like portion of power would be sufficient to perform the same task in a society far more numerous. Civil power, properly organized and exerted, is capable of diffusing its force to a very great extent, and can in a manner reproduce itself in every part of a great empire by a judicious arrangement of subordinate institutions. Okay, so you need subordinate institutions. Wow. And the people, the civil power, needs to be properly organized and capable. The supposition that each confederacy into which the states would be likely to be divided would require a government no less comprehensive than the one proposed, will be strengthened by another supposition, more probable than that which presents us with three confederacies as the alternative to a general union. Well, yeah. I mean, what would you prefer? You want a general union or you want a confederacy? The natives tried the confederacies and it didn't work. Now I think we're going back to that, sadly. If we attend carefully to geographical and commercial considerations, in conjunction with the habits and prejudices of the different states, we shall be led to conclude that in case of disunion, they will most naturally league themselves under two governments. Okay, so in the case of disunion, you're coming fragmented. He's contending that they'll come into two governments. Let's see. The four eastern states, from all the causes that form the links of national sympathy, and connection, may with certainty be expected to unite. New York, situated as she is, would never be unwise enough to oppose a feeble and unsupported flank to the weight of that confederacy. Well, the situation of New York, was a powerhouse, but now look at it. It's fallen, the virus has wiped it out. There are other obvious reasons that would facilitate her accession to it. New Jersey is too small a state to think of being a frontier in opposition to this still more powerful combination, nor do there appear to be any obstacles to her admission into it. Even Pennsylvania would have strong inducements to join the Northern League. Okay, so I guess it's really coming down to what I'm getting at. I think he's mentioning New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Who are they going to go with? What league are they going to kind of team up with? All the states. An active foreign commerce on the basis of her own navigation is her true policy, and coincides with the opinions and dispositions of her citizens. The more southern states, from various circumstances, may not think themselves much interested in the incognito of navigation. If they don't have to deal with it, of course, they're not going to really think about it that much. They may prefer a system which would give unlimited scope to all nations to be the carriers as well as the purchasers of their commodities. Pennsylvania may not choose to confound her interests in a connection so adverse to her policy, as she must all events be a frontier. So this is an interesting thing to think about. Policies and frontiers concerning states. Now, California was a frontier at a time. Now it's dead. It's dying. It's full of decay and ghettos and just degeneracy and homelessness, and the morals have really sunk in. New York, well, they stacked so many people on top of each other and became so dependent upon the grid that, well, look at it. So those frontiers are going away, and the policies that have been established in those, in California and New York, have greatly contributed to their mismanagement. So there's a lot of things we can take what he's saying and apply it to today and really ponder on it. She may deem it most consistent with her safety to have her exposed side turned towards the weaker power of the southern. Notice how he really anthropomorphized the state with the human condition. Her exposed side, so it sounds like your rear end. The weaker power will hurt less if it ever does something to your back end. You get it? What he's saying? Rather than towards the stronger power of the Northern Confederacy. So always face the stronger, put your rear towards your weaker point. This would give her the fairest chance to avoid being the Flanders of America. Whatever may be the determination of Pennsylvania, if the Northern Confederacy includes New Jersey, there is no likelihood of more than one confederacy to the south of that state. Well, he's definitely laid it out here on the different dimensions and dynamics, and let alone nuances of what each state's going to require and the difficulties of it. So indeed, he is laying out the economy and government, as Hamilton put it. would facilitate her accession to it. Facilitating policies that lead to the greater good, essentially.